In this video tutorial, we're going to talk about how to build a mobile application that uses the list control and the form view control. And in the tutorial, we're going to build a master detail form to edit the customer data from the Northwind sample table and also the orders table. So you can see here what we have is sort of the end result of the exercise. So here's our application running, and we have basically a control bar across the top. We have a list showing our customers. If we click on a particular customer, we go to a form view of that record that we clicked on. If we want to edit one of these values, we can tap on that, and then the form view brings us to the editor where we can go ahead and make an edit. Then we can basically cycle through all the fields without having to go back to the form, just by pressing the previous and next buttons. If I hit the save button here, we'll go back to the form. Since the form has now been edited, the save button here has been enabled. If we click the save button and then go back home, we can see now that this record has been edited. You can see there's the fact that it's marked there with orange to indicate that it's been edited. If we now let's go, for example, and edit some more data, so we'll go there to this record, then click on orders to go and see all of the orders for that customer. So there are the orders for that customer. Then we'll click on a particular order, and there's the details for that order. And then we'll click, for example, on a field where we can start editing the fields. You can see we're using text box controls for those fields, but then when we get to the order date field, we're using a spin list, 3 spin list controls. So let's go and change the date there, hit the save button, and now basically hit the save button again, and now go all the way back home, and we can see now that there's a light orange icon there to indicate that the customer record is not dirty, but one of its children is dirty. And now so this record is dirty, the customer record is dirty, this record, the orders record is dirty, and now we can press the sync button to synchronize those edits back to the server. So at this point now, we've basically made an edit against both the parent and the child, and we've shown how our form view control is being used to build a master detail form. So now we're going to go back and build this from scratch. So in the next video, we'll start from scratch and we'll start building this this UX component up. So we're continuing now with our tutorial on how to build a master detail UX component that uses the form view control. So the first thing that we're going to do is use the Genie to end up with a UX component that looks like this. You can see here we have our customer list, and then underneath the customer list we have the orders list, and then we have a traditional detail view on the right hand side for each list. So there's our customer list. We can edit the customer data in the detail view, and then there's our orders list, and we can edit the orders in the detail view. So the starting point to get to this design over here is to use the Genie. So we'll go here and we'll create a brand new component, go to controls, and we'll choose list, and then we'll use the Genie here to quickly set up our form. So actually let's give it this list a nice name. So we'll call it list customers, and then we'll go into the Genie and we'll say that our connection string is going to point to Northwind, and then we'll choose the customer table. So we'll go here and say customers, that we'll just choose a few fields from the customer table, city and country, and then we'll turn on the detail view. So go ahead and click OK, and so now we've basically got our customer form. So we'll just call this here step 1. So now we have our customer form with a corresponding detail view. So now let's go and add in orders. So we'll go now to our list, and we'll say list orders, and again we'll choose the Northwind connection string, go there and choose the orders table, and we'll choose a few fields from the orders table. Then we'll go here and we'll turn on the detail view, and then we'll specify that the orders table has a parent and that the parent list is the customer list, and that the linking fields are customer ID in the parent and customer ID in the child. So now what we've got is a UX component with two lists, customers and orders, linked in a parent-child relationship with a detail view for editing each one of those lists. So at this point now we can click on a customer record, we can see all of the orders for that customer, we can go ahead and make an edit over there, save that, and then hit the synchronize button, and then the edits get written back to the back-end database. So now the next step in this process is to replace these detail views here with form view controls. So in the next video we're going to go ahead now and we're going to configure this component now to replace the detail views here with form view controls, but we're still going to leave the list control configured to have a detail view. We're just going to implement the detail view using a form view as opposed to individual controls as the detail view is currently implemented. So we're continuing now with our tutorial on how to build a UX component that uses form view controls to create a master detail form. And what we're showing over here is where we're going to end up after we replace the detail view with form view controls. So at the end of the previous video we had created two list controls, each of which had a detail view. So basically there's the detail view for the parent list, for the customer list, and there's the detail view for the child list. Where we're going to end up when we finish this is, let's go over here with form view control. Where we're going to end up is a situation like this here, where we still have the list controls, but the detail view has been replaced with the form view, and when we tap on a record in the form we get an editor to actually edit the value. So if I tap on a different row here, the form gets populated. If I tap on a field, the editor comes up, and then you can see that we have, for the child list over here, we also have a form view control, and we have editors for this form view control. The only little wrinkle here is that we're using standard text box editors for these fields, but when we get down to the order date field, we've switched over to using spin list controls for the date value. So this is going to be the end point where we'll be after we finish modifying the this starting point, replacing these detail view controls here with form view controls. So let's go ahead now and do a save as, so we can keep this copy of step 1. So we'll go here and we'll do save as, and we'll change this here to step 2. And now what we're going to do is go over here to the detail view over here and delete it and replace it with a form view control. So we'll go over there and choose form view control, and actually let's just delete everything, and we'll delete the buttons as well, and then we'll go here to the list control and we'll delete everything, and we'll replace this with a form view control. So let's put the form view control in the container. So now let's go to the form view control here and set the data source to be the customer list. Then we'll go to the form layout, and we're going to basically only choose fields from the customer list. So you can see that the available fields here include the fields from both the customer list and also the child list, which is linked to the customer list. But we're going to use a separate form control for the orders list. So we'll just choose the fields from the customer table, place them over there. Then we'll go ahead now and put in our save and reset buttons, and we'll move those to the top, click OK, and now we'll go to the second form view and we'll configure the second form view. So again, we'll set our list source to be orders now, go to the layout and choose basically all of the fields, and then we'll go here and add in our save and cancel buttons, and we'll move those two buttons all the way to the top. So now we've added the form view controls, but we haven't yet specified any editors. So we'll go ahead now and run this, and so you can see that when we click on a row in the customer list, the form view is displayed. When we click on a row in the orders list, the form view is displayed, but when I tap on a particular field, nothing happens because we haven't yet defined any of the editors. So let's pause now and pick this up in the next video, where we'll go now and add editors to these two form view controls to make the actual fields editable. So we're continuing now with our tutorial, and we're going to now add editors for this form view over here. So we'll go over here and let's add another container. So we'll add a container after container number 1, and we'll actually turn the break off so that the editors appear next to the form. And then inside the container number 3, we'll go here and we'll add in an editor set. And then inside that editor set we'll choose a text editor. So now we've defined an editor set that we're going to use for the first form, and then let's go here and add another container here, and again we'll basically turn off the break, and then inside container number 4 we'll add an editor set. And then inside this editor set we'll basically add a text box editor, and let's also go and add in a date spin list editor over there. So now for the orders editor we're going to have two different editors to choose from. So now let's go back to the first form, which is the form for the customers table. Go over here to the form properties, go to the fields, choose the customer ID field, select editor set number 2, editor number 2, and apply that to all of the fields in the customer table. Then we'll go down to the second form control, which is this is the form now for orders. Go to fields, go there and choose editor set number 3, editor number 3, and apply that to all of the fields, but we're going to go back now and change order date to a different editor type. So we'll go to order date now and change the editor to editor number 5, which is the spin list control. So now when we go ahead now and we run our form, we'll see that when we tap on a row in the customer form, in the customer list, we get the form view. When we tap on a field, we get the editor. And if I go make, for example, a change over there, let's go and change that to, say, Bon, hit the save button, and then hit the save button, you can see we've edited the value and saved it back into the list control. Similarly, when we click on a row in the orders list, here's our form. When we click on a field there, you can see there's our editor, but when we click on the order date field, we get the spin list control. So now we've basically gotten our two lists using form view controls as opposed to a standard detail view. And now in the final step on the tutorial, we're going to take this UX component now, which basically has all the functionality that we need, and we're going to basically turn it into a mobile application by using panels and also control bars. So we'll pick this up in the next video. So before we start the process of turning this into a mobile app by adding panel cards, let's just go and add a synchronize button, because as you recall in the previous video we made an edit. We changed the city from Berlin to Bonn, and then when we saved the edits back to the list was marked as dirty, but we didn't have a synchronize button because we had deleted the synchronize button. So let's go to the customer list over there and let's just wrap it in a container. So we'll go here and insert a container around the list, and and then inside the list, inside this container, let's put a break after the list, and now go to defined controls, and we'll say list detail view buttons for the customer table. We're going to go here and say synchronize to the server. So we'll go there now, and if we go now and make our same edits, so we'll go there, tap on the field, let's go here and change the let's actually go to this this record there, change the city from Berlin to Bonn, save it back now to the list. So the list now indicates that that's dirty, and then we'll hit the synchronize button, and you can see now that the record has been synchronized. So basically this is our starting point for the final phase of the exercise, and where we want to end up is with an app that looks like this. And so all that we've done to go from this starting point here, where we have lists with the form view control, to this app over here, is we've taken the various parts of the application and wrapped them in panel cards, and then added a panel navigator to surround all the panel cards. So let's go now to step number 2. Let's go here and do a save as step 3, and then we're going to go here and start turning these containers into panels. So let's go first to container number 5 and wrap that in a panel card. And now that we've done that, we can delete the actual container, and we're going to basically move the synchronize button into a header, so we'll delete that for the time being. Then we'll go to the form view and we'll wrap that in a panel card, and then having done that, we can go ahead there and delete the container. Then we'll go to the editor set and wrap that in a panel card, and having done that, we can go and delete the container. Then we'll go to orders and we'll wrap that in a panel card. Then we'll go to the form for orders and wrap that in a panel card, and then delete the interior container. Then we'll go to the editor sets, the editors for that form, and we'll wrap these in a panel card, and then we'll delete the container. So now what we have is a whole bunch of panel cards, but since we have more than one panel card, you can see here we get told we need to wrap it in some type of container. So we'll take all of these panel cards and wrap them in a panel navigator. So now, and then let's go to the customer list and say that the customer list fills the container, and that the order list also fills the panel. So if we go now and we run this, we can see that it's beginning to look like a mobile app. So let's go here and actually turn on the mobile preview, and you can see there's our list for the customers. If we scroll to the right, we see the form. If we tap on a field, we can see that the editor doesn't show up yet because it's on another panel, which is over there. Then if we keep scrolling, we can see the list for our orders. We can see, if we go back and we tap on a row here, we can see the form for the orders. And then finally, if we tap on a field here, we can see the editor for the orders. So now the next step is to basically make the navigation from panel to panel all automatic. And what we want to have happen is that when the user taps on a row in the customer list, we want to automatically go to the form, etc. So let's pause and pick. So we're continuing now with our tutorial, and we're showing now how to turn our app into a mobile looking app by adding panels. And now we want to go and add some behavior so that when we tap on a row here, we navigate to the appropriate panel. So we'll go back to design mode now, and to make things easier, we're going to go and change the IDs of all these panels from panel card 1 to something more meaningful. So we'll go here and we'll basically call this customer list, and then we'll go to this panel over here and we'll call this customer form, and then we'll go to this panel and we'll call this say customer editors. Then we'll go to the panel card here and change this to orders. Then we'll go over there and change that to order form, and then finally we'll go to this panel card and we'll change it to orders editors. So the first action that we want to do is when we tap on a row on the customers, we want to go to the customer form. So we'll bring up the editor and we'll go now to list events, and we'll go to the on select event, and we'll go here and type in dialog.object.panel set active, and we want to go now to the customer form. So we've got that done, and now we want to do the same thing for the orders list. So we'll go now to the orders list, and we'll say that when we tap on a row here, we want to set focus. So we'll go dialog.object.panel set active, and we'll choose the orders form. So now we basically got the forms being activated when you tap on a row, but we're not done yet. So when we tap now on our row over here, you can see we navigate to the form, but when I tap on a field here, I don't see the editor coming up. So now we're going to go to the editor. So we'll go now to the customer editors, and here's the editor set. When this editor set gets shown, we're going to go here and say dialog.object.panel set active, and we want to go now to the customer editors over there. And then what we want to do also is when we click on a field in the orders form, we want to activate the editor. So we're going to go there and say dialog.object.panel set active, and now we want to go to the orders editors. And so now that's good, but what we also want to do is when we save from the editor, we want to go back to the form. So let's go here and see this now. So if we tap on a row, that brings us to the editor. Tap on the field, that brings us to the editor. Now if we hit the save button here, we want to go back to the form. So let's go now to this editor set there, and then go to the hide JavaScript and say when we hide the editor set, we want to go dialog.object.panel set active, and we want to go back to the customer form. So there we go, and we choose the customer form over there, and we want to do the same thing, a similar thing for the editors here. So we'll go here to the hide JavaScript, paste that in, but set the active form here not to the customer form but to the orders form. So now we're beginning to get the type of behavior that we want. So let's go and check this out now. So click on a row here, tap on a field to edit it, make some edit, hit the save button, which takes us back to the form, hit the save button there, and now that would if we go back to our list here, we see that basically that the row has become dirty. So at this point we're getting close now. We've got the navigation working, but we don't yet have the control bar that kind of gives the whole thing a nice mobile feel. So in the next part of the tutorial, we're going to add the control bar into the component. So again, we're continuing now with our tutorial on using a UX component with form view controls to create a master detail form, and we're in the process right now of making the component look and feel like a mobile application. So this is our target endpoint. You can see here's our customer list. We've changed the customer list from a tabular list to a freeform layout to get a nicer looking layout. But then we've got across the top here we have our control bar, and you can see that when we tap on a row over here, that brings up the customer form, but our back button is enabled, and it tells us where we're going to go if we hit the back button. So we're going to go back to the customer form, we're going to go back to the customer list. If we tap over there, we're going to go to the orders list. If we tap over here, we're going to go to orders. If we go back, we're going to go to the customer form, etc. So we basically got some nice navigation going on. We also have a menu button here that will take us all the way home, no matter how deep we are into the application. So let's go and take a look at what we've actually done here. You can see that we've got in our panel navigator, we've added a panel header, and inside the panel header we have a control bar. So this is the control bar that is used for the entire application, excepting for the control bars that exist inside the actual editors themselves. So you can see that when we go now to one of the editors, so we'll tap on a row here, tap on a field here to get to the editor, and then we have a second control bar over here that lets us navigate from field to field, so we don't have to go back to the form, tap on the field that we want to edit to bring it up in the editor. We can just navigate from field to field very quickly. So let's go back now to where we ended off in the previous tutorial, in the previous video, and start adding in the behavior that we see with the control bar. So this is what our app looks like right now. You can see it doesn't have any control bars at all, and we also haven't changed the format of the list to a freeform layout. But so let's first go here to this panel navigator and add a panel header and specify that inside the panel header we want to have a control bar. So if we run this right now, we'll see that the control bar is there, but it hasn't been configured yet. So we're going to go now and start defining this control bar. So the first thing we're going to do to this control bar is maybe add in our menu button and also our back button. So we'll go here and we'll go items, we'll add a button which we'll call our back button, and then we'll basically specify that the button subtheme is left. So the button will end up looking like a left button over there. That's what left buttons look like. And we'll set the button text to be back, and we won't do anything else for the time being. And then we'll also go here and we'll add in a menu button, and we'll set this to be an icon image only, and then we'll go and choose our icon. So we'll choose the little hamburger menu over there. And now that we've defined our two buttons, we haven't defined the actions yet, but that doesn't matter. We'll go to control bar layouts, we'll add a layout, we'll add our back button over there, and we'll add our menu button over there. So let's go ahead now and test this out. So we'll hit preview now, and we can see that there's our back button, it doesn't do anything, and there's our menu button, and it doesn't do anything. And we can immediately see that we have a problem here, because we really only want this back button to show up when we're not on the first page of the application. And we also want our menu button here to actually bring up a menu. So we'll pause now and pick this up in the next video as we continue to configure the control bar. So we're continuing now with our tutorial, and the first thing that we're going to focus on now is making this back button only show up when you're not on the first pane, and then also making the label on the back button describe where you're going to be going back to. So we're going to go now to the control bar, and we're going to basically create two variables here. We're going to create a variable here called I think we're going to call it back button label. So we'll go here and say back button label, and we can basically just leave that blank. We'll just go here and put in NBSP, that's a non-breaking space, and then we'll add another button here called flag. Let's call this, we'll call it flag show back button. So we'll go flag show back button, and we want to set it to have an initial value of false, but we want that to be a true JavaScript object. So we'll go here and type in JavaScript, and we'll type in false. So basically this flag show back button is going to basically be false. And so now we'll go to the button itself, and we'll say that this back button should only be shown if the flag show button variable is true, and that the text on the back button shouldn't be the word back, but should be this back button label. So there we go now. So now we've basically said that the actual text on the label is going to be controlled by this variable called back button label, and the visibility of the button is going to be controlled by this data variable called flag show back button. So now if we go and we run this now, we'll see that basically we don't see anything at all. So let's go here. Now we should have seen our menu button. So we're going to just go here to our control bar layout, and we're going to go over here, and we're going to add some HTML that's got a non-breaking space. So we'll go there and type in, say, HTML, and then go here and type in NBSP, and then we'll go here to the control bar layout, and we'll just add in that HTML, the non-breaking space. So now when we do that, we can see that even though the button itself is hidden, we still see the menu over there. So now what we'd like to do is set the flags so that the button is shown when needed. And the way that we do that is we actually use the panel navigator has an event that fires whenever a different panel gets activated. So we're going to go to this panel activate event over here, and we're going to add the necessary code. So I'm going to just copy and paste the code, and then I'll basically explain what the code does. So we'll go here and we'll paste in this code, and you can see here that we've got two variables, the flag show button and the flag and the back button label. Then we're getting a pointer to the control bar, and then the panel navigator basically has a property called state that tells you what the active panel is. So this .state.activePanel tells you what the name of the active panel is. And so what we're going to do over here is we're going to say that if the active panel is the customer list, which is the first panel, then flag show back button should be false. Otherwise it should be true. So let's go here and set it equal to true. So we'll go there and say equals true. So it'll start out being true, and then if we're on customer list it'll be false, otherwise it's going to be true. Then what we're going to do over here is we're going to basically, depending on what the active panel is, we're going to set the label on the button. So if we're on the customer form, we're going to set the label to be customers, etc. And then finally we're going to basically update the control bar and set the value of the variable. So let's pause now and pick it up in the next video. So the last step in our action here is to call the control bar's update method, and the update method basically takes an array of the data variables that you want to update. So in this case it's these two variables, flag show back button and back button label, and then the value that we want to assign to those two variables. So we'll go ahead now and we'll run this. So we can see that initially the button is not visible. When we click on the first row, the button becomes visible and it's got a label of customers. Then when I tap on a field here, now the button says customer form, and but when I press it, nothing happens because we haven't defined the handler for that button. So let's go back now and define the handler for the button. So we'll go here to the control bar here, and we can see that the back button over there doesn't yet have an action. So we'll go here and we'll say the back action, and then we'll go over to the actions tab here and we'll define the code for the back action. So we don't need this comment, so let's get rid of that, and I'm going to just go here and paste in some code, and then I'll explain what the code does. So we'll go there and paste in the code. And so what we're doing over here is we're getting a pointer to the panel navigator. So this is the panel navigator over there, and then we're basically saying the active panel is the panel navigator. So we've got this PO, which is panel object, po.state.activePanel, and we're basically saying that depending on what the active panel is, we're going to set the previous panel to a particular value, and then if the previous panel is not blank, we're going to go here and do a panel set active to whatever the previous panel is. So now if we go ahead and we run this, we'll see that if we tap on a row there, it says customers. If we tap on there, it says customer form. And now when we press the back button, we've got the action working right now, and we're actually setting those values. So now let's go and add in a synchronize button. So what we want to do now is have the ability to, if I go there and make an edit, let's go and change that, hit the save button, go back to the customer form. Okay, we didn't actually hit the save button. Let's go there, make that Mexico 2, hit save, and now go back to the customer form. You can see we've got an edit there, but currently we don't have any way of synchronizing that. So we're going to go now and add a synchronize button to the control bar. So let's go now to the control bar, and we'll add a new item over here, and we'll go there and we'll say we want a button, and we'll choose predefined buttons. I'll say I want a list detail view button, and the button that I want is for the customer table. I want synchronize all. So this is going to basically add a button for me called synchronize all, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the icon because I don't like the icon that was defaulted. So we'll go here to icons and we'll go and choose a different icon for synchronize. So I'm going to go here and choose, let's see what would be a nice icon. So let's see, we'll choose this icon here to indicate synchronize. So that's going to be our synchronize button, and we're going to set our button style to just be image only. And you can see that we've basically, the Genie automatically created a click action for us. So let's go now and add that button to the control bar. So we'll go to the control bar, and next to the back button here we're going to go and add in the synchronize button. But we also want to basically make sure that this button is only shown when appropriate. So right now the button is going to be shown all the time. So if I go now, you can see that the synchronize button is being shown over there, and it's also being shown over there when I'm no longer on the customer list. So what I want to do is hide the synchronize button, and I want the synchronize button to be hidden when the back button is visible. So let's go here to the items, and for the back button our show hide expression was just this, was just flag show back button. And so now let's go to the synchronize button, and so we're setting now the show expression for the synchronize button. So we want that to be the opposite of the back button, so we'll go there and put in the JavaScript not symbol. And so now when we go ahead now and we run this, we'll see that the synchronize button is visible. We'll go there, tap on a row. The synchronize button has gone away now. So let's go there to Mexico, make that say Mexico 2, hit the save button, hit save again, go back to the customer list. There's our little icon there indicating that this is a dirty row now, and click the synchronize button now. and the row gets synchronized and the button gets disabled. So we're getting pretty close to our target right now. The next thing that we want to do is when we go to the editor, we'd like to put on another control bar here that lets us go back and forward through the fields without forcing us to go back to the form to choose the field we want to edit. So we want to be able to go from the contact name field directly to, say, the city field by just going here and hitting back and previous. So we'll do that by adding another control bar to the editor set over here. So this is the panel card that displays the editor set. So we'll go there, we'll right click, and we'll say add panel header. So at this point the panel header control bar hasn't been defined, but if we run this right now, we'll see that there's an undefined panel header showing up over there. And now we need to create our previous and next buttons. So we'll go there now, and we'll go over to this control bar, and we'll go to items, and we'll add an item, a button called previous, and then we'll add another button here called, say, next. Let's go and set the button style here to be, say, image only, and we'll set our icon for previous to be, let's go and choose that icon over there, and then we'll go here and set our icon for next. So we'll go there and set the icon for next to be this icon over there. And so here we go. Now let's go and make a layout. So we'll choose layout number 1. We'll add on the before part we'll do the previous, on the after part we'll do the next. So now we've got the control bar visible, but we haven't defined the action yet. So we'll go now and let's just check it out. So we'll tap on the row there, click on a field to edit it, and here's our next and previous buttons, but they're not currently doing anything at all. So let's go back now and define the actions. So we'll go to items here, and we'll say previous. We'll say we'll just give it an action, a click action called previous, and we'll go to next, and we'll type in next. And now let's go to actions. So for the previous action, what we want is, let's just go here and delete the comment. We'll go here and we'll use action JavaScript to help us write the code. So we'll go here and we'll add a new action. We'll just give it a temporary name, and then we'll bring up the action editor. So we'll edit this. We'll say we want a form action, and the action that we want is navigate to in form number 1 to the previous field. And then let's just go ahead here, copy that JavaScript to the clipboard. We don't need to use action JavaScript for something this simple. So we'll go ahead there, hit the save button. We'll just go there and hit OK, and then just simply we'll paste the code in there for previous, and then for next we'll just paste the code in again and change this from previous to next. So now when we go and we run our form, we tap on a row there, tap on a field, and now we can basically, you can see we can navigate through the fields using our button over there. So what we've shown in this video is how we took the basic UX component that was generated for us by the Genie, and then by adding panel cards and adding actions to the controls on the panel cards, we were able to create a mobile looking application. Thanks very much for watching.